to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast. This is episode number 74. Jam-packed, tons of exciting news both in the Warzone and in the Warzone Amateur Hour media empire at large. Lots of highs hit this week. Put up some new clips on our YouTube, so I hope y'all caught those. But otherwise, getting into the Warzone, at least for Tron, a bit more this week than it has been, and damn, it feels good. But before we dive into all that's going on and all that's happening, I gotta turn to the 10-inch-cowboy, the valiant co-host, the sniper enthusiast, and ask the cowboy, how was your week in the Warzone this week?
Oh, baby. Thank you for that lively introduction. A lot going on this week. I had some really good games this week. I was thinking about what to say on the pod before this, and I just have to say, we've been having some great games. And to be totally honest, it's, again, as I like to say, we like to say highs and lows. I got some incredible victories this week with some good friends and listeners of the pod, and then also got my ass stomped by a ton of dudes on Rebirth. The sweat level seems to be just getting the floor of player, gameplay is just rising right now. Everybody is so damn good at this game, but nonetheless, my floor is rising. Your floor is rising. It's been fantastic. I'm experimenting again with the Vargo. We're getting deeper into that. And honestly, a jaw-dropping revelation of things to come in Warzone shared by yours truly, Tron, this week to the cowboy that honestly had me floored. I had to text and say, is this for real? Is this actually fucking happening? So incredible times. How was your week in the Warzone? I know before I'm setting you up here, I know that you had one incredible game and I want to hear about it. How was your week in the Warzone?
Yes, indeed. The week was great. As you said, I agree with you. The sweat level as a whole just cranked up to the max on Rebirth. There's no longer the open qualification going on for the Call of Duty League. It doesn't matter, man. It's like the rec center, the pro league came through looking for guys for the NBA DL, and they left town, but the fucking guys that didn't make the team, they're still out at the gym hustling just as hard, making it tough on us amateurs. But that said, we can fucking score a few buckets here and there. And that's how it was this week. All of our sessions, I feel like, were hard fought, but we never gave up, and we always ended at least with one or two wins. As you alluded to, had a great game. Had a great just session overall this week, playing with a listener, someone we've actually referenced on the podcast, a listener, a Discord user, member of the Warzone Amateur Hour community, a 37-year-old dad, formerly a 36-year-old dad. And yes, indeed, we had a kill of the week. Let's just jump into that. I had it at the end of the agenda, but let's just put it up front. Kill of the week. This week it was a triple kill for the old Tron Meister. And
wow.
The Sparks and the 37-year-old dad were holed up on the roof of Nova with the circle closing in, only a few teams. I had an airstrike and something came over me, cowboy, and I said, I gotta use this thing while the circle's closing because I found the airstrikes work when people move into them unknowingly. So something like kind of flash of lightning struck me from the fucking ether realm. Maybe it was a bolt from, King Kong or Godzilla.
Ooh.
And I hit the airstrike, and sure enough, was able to get out a triple kill off of that on our way to a victory. So yes, to answer your question, fantastic week here on the Warzone for Tron.
That was a team wipe, right? We're talking a trio situation.
There was a team wipe involved. I'm not sure if it was a 1-2-3, but either way, it was definitely cool.
I'm trying to think about a time because you'd mentioned when you, me, the greater community, everyone that's listening to this, I'm sure, you've been victim to a precision or a cluster where you didn't know that it was actually coming. Like you ran into that airspace and it has killed you. That happens to me, I swear, every day I play. Every session I get into, I'm getting killed by a random cluster, a random precision I didn't know was coming. Don't get the alert. but it's good to be on the giving end of that. And I don't know if I've ever been on that in that situation, but that's got to feel, I mean, that had to be like a moment you won't forget.
It was unfortunately late at night, so it was very quiet, but it was, as soon as I did it, I'm like, oh, that's probably not the best move. But then a guy flew it immediately after. And I think the fact it was like, we call it stepchild. It's like the building just, I think it's, just southeast or whatever of Nova. And it's a 1-story building. So I know kind of with the way the airstrikes seem a bit buffed, like they can fuck you up indoors. I don't know exactly where the people were, but with the first initial strike, I got 1 kill and 2 downs, I think. And then, the second one, or 2 kills, and the second, bam, triple kill. Felt damn good. But yes, that's probably lifetime kills with airstrikes. I think I probably got like 5, and that was 3 of them.
Did you win the game?
Yeah, we won, baby.
Wow. I saw the clip. It was good. Yeah. And I remember some poor soul was dropping into that small circle, and I think he landed and just got killed immediately. What a loser.
What a loser. Winners here. But that said, the week since we last spoke, kind of an interesting limited time event that came out of nowhere, but worth mentioning, is that on April 18th, they tweeted out that there's the Death in Taxes limited time mode, and they said it's everyone's favorite time of the year, in quotes. So how about a little relief? For the next 24 hours, they enabled infinite gulag and 0 cash loss when you revive. Did you happen to have any of those games while this tax time thing was going on?
I did, and I think we played it once or twice. It was one of those things where you honestly are like surprised. You're like, oh, I have gulag again. Oh, I have gulag. And then, I was in the gulag a lot, and then ultimately we got wiped, and then I didn't have the gulag again. So it was a fun, cheeky little thing that they did. I wouldn't say that it's something that's going to stick, but it wasn't a bad time. Did you get in that mode at all?
I did not, but I thought that was an interesting thing to like, wow, they were even paying attention to now tax day. They got something. Whereas, it felt like weeks and weeks went by earlier on where nothing was going on. And now it's like Rebirth Reinforced event, April Fool's event. Now they got a tax day. So like they're upping the attention being paid to the Warzone.
I like it, and to be honest, it's a fun way to experiment with new game modes, and you never know what's going to stick. And I feel like almost if you want to get, it's not quite a 1-for-1, but Rebirth Island kind of, obviously there's a lot more that goes into building the island and all of that, but this was kind of a weird little off gameplay mode that they created and threw in there. And look at us now. We play it every day.
That's true. I would wonder if we would, looking at the dates, go back to when they first announced Rebirth, because I don't think Rebirth was live right when we first started this podcast.
No. It came a lot later. Later.
So to hear I'm curious our initial reactions to that. I know early on we would play it, and I remember you were the one who like showed me the way. You were like the first one in the Matrix, and we're like, this is what we do. And you're like, I go to this headquarters building, go inside, go upstairs. To this day, that is my go-to move. Like, have not stopped doing that on Rebirth.
Damn right.
Like you said.
Unfortunately, though, we are not the only ones that do that. Headquarters has become a breeding ground for sweats. I swear, it is very hot these days, more times than not. I hate to say it, but we are getting our asses wiped by other teams right off the bat at Rebirth. It gets to a point after like 3 or 4 matches where it's not going well there. We have to like reestablish where we want to drop. We're either hitting chem, bio, stronghold these days. It's the tables have turned a little bit since the beginning.
I agree, and I think, I know it was definitely gaining in popularity as time went on, but then when I think they threw up, they opened the vault, and then they put the Red Room blueprint. I saw even like Z Laner this week had a clip, or he had a massive 40 bomb game on Rebirth, and where did he drop? Headquarters, went for the fucking Red Room. Really?
He's trying to get that Red Room build out of the Milano right off the bat. That's fascinating.
So, a lot of sweat, as we said. Caldera also popping off, as always. There was a big tournament this week, I know. Watched a little bit of that. So, things are still heating up. But speaking of heating up, the next big hotness on the horizon is Season 3, which we've been teasing and hearing glimpses about. A lot of big stuff going. We've talked about like such things as Footsteps. They're working on Ranked. We've talked about some other things, some monsters last week that could be potentially coming to the Warzone. Well, this week they pulled back the curtain just a bit, and the first details about Vanguard Season 3 in the Warzone dropped. And we'll get to, I think, the meatiest of it all, but the main details are to know is that this thing starts April 27th. So that is going to be, I think, next week. After this will be the last week we record, I think, prior to Season 3. And obviously, they're going to be bringing with it new weapons. They introduced right off the rip that they're going to have a new AR. Let me find the name here.
I bet you're incredibly excited for more weapons, as I know you love the variety of weapons and the many choices you have with weapons.
Yeah, just as I'm getting my Vargo fine-tune, they announced that they're going to be adding a, quote, powerful marksman rifle and a fast-firing assault rifle. It's going to be the M1916 and the Nikita AVT.
M1916. Okay, that'll be a fun name to try to come up with a nickname for. Drawing blanks at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like the M1 Garand almost a bit in the screenshot I'm seeing here. And they describe it as a semi-automatic rifle with a combination of power and fire rate. Impressive at any range in the hands of a capable marksman. The first post-launch rival. So that's coming at launch. Then the Nikita AVT, also coming at launch, is regarded as accurate and reliable with best-in-class fire rate. And they said this AR can be outfitted to exceed in close quarters combat or long-range combat scenarios. It's the fastest firing AR in Vanguard to date, making it a great choice for SMG users who want to transition to a more mid-range option. But a fast fire rate means high recoil, so you must either learn to control this weapon's kick or equip it with multiple attachments to tame it.
I'm trying to think of the highest fire rate currently on the AR class. And the first thing that comes to my mind is the Cooper carbine, which I know it seems to have an incredibly fast fire rate. I could be way off with this, but I'm trying to think of what else. Is the Farah an AR? Because I felt like the Farah had a really fast fire rate. What
Farah's
doesn't have
an AR.
Yeah.
But it did specify for Vanguard ARs, I think they said. I think in terms of fastest firing ARs, probably got to be like what the FFAR, or I think the AS Val is technically an AR, and that's like the fastest firing gun in the game, Modern Warfare game, melts through ammo.
Well, what about the Cooper? The Cooper's a Vanguard weapon, right?
Yeah. So I think that would probably be, I think maybe it'll dethrone that. Not sure on the stats there, but 2 new weapons here coming to the Warzone with Season 3.
Fast fire rates are great for amateurs. If we're, keeping to our roots here, I always loved the MAC-10 because it had such a fast fire rate, and I may have to give this new weapon a go. Is this the Nikita or is this the M1974-357?
The one you are looking at on the top is the semi-auto, the M1916, and the one below is the new AR, the Nikita.
Oh, the Nikita. I like the Nikita. It's a smaller AR. It looks like it's easier to handle too, but yeah, maybe with a shorter build and a shorter barrel, it looks like it would have kind of a spray aspect to the recoil nature of it. But I'll definitely give it a try. I mean, I am, just to bring it full circle here, I am locked in with the Cooper carbine. I love that gun. This week, and I've talked about this in the past, but this week I have a mid-range build on that I pair with my car, and I was shredding people from over 100 meters away. I can't believe how low the recoil is on the Cooper carbine. Still a favorite of mine as a support weapon. I'm actually starting to get in the experimental phase, thinking about what could I pair with my current mid-range build. Maybe I have I don't have the well gun unlocked, but if I did, what I would do is I would build obviously a very mobile, very quick moving well gun with this mid-range Cooper build that I have, and I would be like my late game loadout. I would literally name it like late game, the late game destroyer maybe, and I would only get it like if we had a loadout late in the game, because obviously like I find myself at end game where I want this Cooper that I have, but I haven't built it in a loadout with like a smaller SMG. And so like I end up grabbing the Cooper in a car, and it's like we have like its final circle, and there's only like 30 meters of I'm not going to be sniping, so I gotta reevaluate my loadouts. But again, I guess to bring it even, we'll do a 360, another full circle here. I'm curious to see what these new guns bring. Maybe I could run a short range Cooper with this new Nikita. We'll see what happens. But I mean, these are exciting. I love new weapons, bring new joys, new fun times, more struggles trying to load it up or level it up. And I mean, we're not even talking about the Vargo, which I know you love and have leveled. I've leveled that up myself to an extent, and I think the Vargo, again, you love to criticize me on how much I love weapons right off the bat, and you love to have me list my top 5 favorite weapons, so I'm going to be very careful and choose my words correctly, but I do like the Vargo a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the state of weapon balancing is pretty awesome. Vargo, super awesome. Cooper's great. Wellgun, I think probably the best SMG, but I like the fact that it's so easily, you can find it at ground loot. So if you're like us, you haven't leveled it up. But that said, I gotta say thank you for clarifying that, your late game weapons that you would put together that would be called a late game loadout, you would indeed use it in the later part of the games. Appreciate the clarification there. But
was that a backhanded compliment? I feel like you're criticizing me right now when I'm just trying to co-host a podcast and explain what I'm thinking out loud.
Well, that said, in terms of new weapons, in addition to them, there's also going to be a new POI or point of interest, and it's called Dig Site. I got a screenshot up now for the cowboy to take a look, but it looks like it's a dinosaur skeleton kind of there. There's a large, excavator type crazy machine. Again, bones. They said a storm is coming to the sunny paradise of Caldera as the dark clouds begin to encroach its skies. The island's phosphate mining operations expanded westward only to unexpectedly strike bone. They unearthed giant skulls, rib cages, and the remains of serpentine creatures that some say come from the hollow earth. The mining company ultimately abandoned its operation, creating a new area known as the Monarch Dig Site. It's located between the mine and the ruins, and it provides operators the opportunity to rummage through abandoned excavation equipment, tents, and massive skeletons for supply boxes and other items. Don't question these ancient skulls' origins for too long, though. The area's verticality makes it an action-filled location as well as a source of cash generation, especially if a contract or two spawns there.
My first impression of the image that we're both looking at is they are really leaning into these monsters, which frankly I am all about. I love monsters, grew up as a monster kid. This is exciting. Yeah, you also said it's a serpent-like creature. This thing, I was trying to identify what I would call this. I guess it kind of looks like an alligator mixed with a dragon. I don't even know what else to say. And I'm also having a hard time understanding what the scope of this thing is. It looks gigantic. I mean, it looks like you could walk inside of its mouth. It's so big because there's the little canopies to the left of it there. I mean, what is going on here? They are really leaning into the monsters. I'm all about it. I love monsters. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like a Jurassic Park almost vibe here. I like it. They're making use. I know Caldera's got so much open space. I'm all about these new POIs, developing, new areas, giving us something to shake it up, to break up that space. So, like you said, that's a good point. I know part of it's kind of perspective that the serpentine creatures in the foreground and some of the stuff's in the background, but it does seem to dwarf a lot of stuff. So I'm wondering if you can run into the inside of that fucker, if he's hollowed out or not. But that said, in addition to this new area, they've also made some changes to existing areas. Most notably is like the new superstore of Caldera, the hot spot that everyone loves, and that is, of course, Peak, which was pretty barren, just kind of a volcano peak type of, mountaintop, but they've redone that pretty significantly. And they're calling it Peak Fortifications. Though the top, you thought the top of Caldera was a hot drop? It hasn't even begun to peak. Oh, nice. A Always Sunny reference there. As the upcoming additions to this point of interest may draw in more operators looking for supply boxes, contracts, and a solid starting point for their rotation strategies. All buildings atop the peak are fully built up with a fresh coat of paint revealing the symbol of the mysterious global organization known as Monarch. The Cryptozoological Defense Force investigating Titan activity on the island used new exterior and interior ascenders, which are the zip lines, to quickly travel between old and new floors of this area, or drop down to the core to see some of the upgrades made to the otherwise natural structure. With multiple towers fully constructed, it's now even easier to drop from the peak to the most named areas. And of course, flying down from it, you're just asking to be shot down out of the sky for a hashtag COD top play.
So I think I can speak for everyone that the term cryptozoology, I never expected to be paired with Call of Duty Warzone. Really, really interesting turn that they've made. I don't even know if there was a fork at the road, but they made a turn, and it may be off of the highway that they were rolling on, and they just fucking grabbed the wheel, turned left, shot out into the darkness on a dirt path through the desert, and now they are blazing a new trail that I can't even comprehend. But I think this is all leading to, well, okay, before we get to that, excited about this Peak change. I'm excited to check this out. Peak obviously is the hot spot. It was hot. It's going to be red hot now. I can't imagine it's going to, and when they create these new POIs, as you had mentioned in the last little bones excavation area, they incentivize it by adding cash and boxes. And it's like, you want to drop there because you're going to loot up. They create these little mini superstores right off the bat. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. It's going to be hot. We're going to get roasted when we go there, but of course we're going to check it out. This is all leading up to a pretty monumental announcement that they made, but maybe before we get to that, what do you think of this new Peak? Are you interested in this, or is it kind of just like they're kind of redoing something that they didn't need to? Why are they doing this with Peak? It's kind of out of nowhere.
I know people theorize with the, potential monsters coming to the map, like, oh, well, they fuck up the map, redo some of the map. Some people theorize, oh, well, they destroy the peak and pummel it down, make it flatter, less dominant. Instead, now they've reinforced the peak. I know people were some were upset. I think it's cool. I think honestly, as you were talking and I'm looking at it, to me it kind of more closely, I think, resembles Prison, almost how that was last year, except they put this thing right smack dab in the middle, but it's the different pillars, the different elevations. It seems like that main tower, in the photo, it's on the left side with the helipad. That seems like kind of the stronghold. You get control of that, you're really going to be manning that base yourself, but a lot of verticality, a lot of areas. I think it's cool. I think it opens it up more. It's less I think it's more amateur friendly maybe, but I don't know. I've been scared of that fucking place. I don't think I've ever dropped Peak since Caldera, because I am a scared little boy when it comes to Peak.
Yes, you are, but I will compliment your intellect. That is an astute observation on the similarities between the photo that I'm looking at of this new and improved Peak and the prison of Verdansk. Very similar in the cylindrical structure of it. As you said, there are these almost, and there's mini cylinders that are coming up, structural cylinders that kind of, as Prison had, it kind of rounds out this circular, kind of almost like a coliseum in a way. I think that's wow, you have floored me with your observation. I have to say, that's now what I'm thinking. I wonder if they're trying to bring in a prison-like structure into that. I mean, how can you not see the similarities now that you mention that? It has one spot that is obviously higher and larger and kind of the bigger, more dominant area of the, you'd say, a coliseum. man, if you're listening to this and not looking at this, go home, take a look at this picture. This is the prison of Caldera. You're totally right. And to be honest, I'm a prison boy, baby. I love dropped in prison. Hot drops in prison were how I got into Verdansk. So this is getting me torqued and excited. I'm actually very excited about this now.
Yeah, I think we gotta check it out. The other thing of note, as I'm looking at it, is it seems a lot more vehicle friendly. I don't even know if you could like really get vehicles up to the old one, but this one looks like pretty smooth, kind of main track through, kind of do a drive-by type of thing, or make a quick getaway as opposed to just jumping off and flying. But nothing pleases me more than to floor the cowboy. So I'm really grateful for those compliments. But yeah, check it out. Curious to see what this new peak fortification situation is going to yield. But that isn't the only change they've made. Another hotspot, it's certainly for, plunder that we've talked about, and that is the airfield or the runway. Maybe this is a different area. This is called runway. That's been redone. And they said that as darker days appear on the horizon, so there's really some ominous shit coming for Caldera. Caldera's runway will be rebuilt with a set of barracks, hangars, and other structural additions, replacing jungle overgrowth and abandoned lodgings in this area. The runway will also include a few decommissioned planes that could act as cover, as well as a few guard towers and water towers for getting a better survey of the area. After the runway is reconstructed, operators who usually drop in at the beachhead or nearby operations building will find it easier to travel out to the runway. However, the lack of foliage makes these rotation patterns less concealed, so be prepared for more visibility on this side of the map.
Okay, so this photo that I'm looking at of this new POI, which, yes, it looks to me to be near that beachhead area, the northern area, the northern, I guess, north area of the map, I would say. I'm seeing some airplanes in this photo. Are we have some listeners and friends of this pod that are obsessed and dearly missing the aircraft on Caldera. To me, this is a hint that we are getting aircraft back. I'm looking at planes at this POI. How could they not give them back to us?
I mean, yeah, I see 4. They look like fighters, although it does look, the cockpits are covered up. So I think these are purely for decoration. And as it kind of said in the description, you can use the decommissioned planes that could act as cover. So
okay, that's in the industry. We call that a cock tease in the industry. You're going to put airplanes on the map, but they're going to cover the cockpits so you can't use them. How in the fuck are they going to do that? That is a mistake. They need to fix that shit.
They wrapped up those, Jimmy, so you're going to have to wait a bit to jump on them. No word, on the vehicle plane situation, but that is the new runway. And finally, I'm seeing here, which I didn't realize, is they also have a new, they're calling it Sandbar, which is new to the lagoon. Operators know the bridge between the lagoon's notable lighthouse and the rest of Caldera.
Very familiar. I've died on that bridge many times. Yes. Guy, drop lighthouse, then get in a skirmish, run away like a coward, and then end up getting shot in the back and downed on that bridge. It has happened to me. Sorry, continue. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I appreciate the firsthand insight. The cowboy knows the lighthouse well, but in this season, the shifting tides will reveal another path from the main island to the structure. And expanding off of knee-high water route, this sandbar has multiple moored ships to explore or use as cover. In addition to a steep, rock-faced cliff behind a few houses, there are several sloping paths back up to the main island and to what already existed in this area. Vehicles can also travel over this area. Just be sure your driver knows how to handle off-road terrain and is not prone to any, quote, sinking feelings during tactical operations.
Wait a second. Sinking feelings? Does that mean they're going to introduce quicksand? I'm just throwing it out there because that's what that hints at. Like, what kind of wording is that? Sinking that I'm thinking quicksand. Am I crazy? Maybe. What do you think?
I mean, they put these hints in there, and they had some other stuff like about these ominous clouds. It's either maybe there's quicksand, or you leave the vehicle and it gets stuck or really slows down, and there's some new kind of mechanic there. The other thing, which would be kind of lame, is like, it's really steep and they're saying you get a sinking feeling. I don't know there, but new additions coming to the map. In addition to that, a place which, part of our tagline, a place amateurs are quite familiar with, that's the Gulag Well. The old Caldera Gulag, as it's kind of grown over 2 seasons, is now being replaced. We're going to have a brand new Gulag. This one is called Hold. And it says the mines underneath Caldera are no longer the place for operators to face each other. Instead, enter the Hold, a new Gulag developed by the studio Toys for Bob. This roughly symmetrical arena is based in the belly of a ship moored just off the coast of Caldera, with identical hallways on the perimeter of an otherwise open space.
Great, another place to get my ass slapped, a new gulag. Yeah, maybe we can, I'm sure we'll end up in there, and I'm sure we'll end up doing another ranking of where this falls on the old gulag historical list.
Yeah, where would you rate kind of the one the outgoing one, the one that this will be replacing? I mean, not rank it, but how do you feel about it? I know you don't like to rank stuff.
I think that this one is mid-level on my ranking list. It's not the worst. I know which one is the worst. It was that L-shaped one a few seasons back. I hated that fucking gulag. This one, I would say I want to say 50-50. Let me say maybe more 80-20 in that 20% I'm successful in it. So I would say, that's pretty good, actually. So I'd say it's like mid-tier. If there's like 8 gulags, I think we have now 7 or 8 gulags, I'd put this at like maybe 4 or 5.
4 or 5. I think that's fair. I've grown less and less, enjoying
disdainful.
This current one. Yeah. Enamored with it or whatever. I've really got my ass kicked for a while there. Lately, when I've been kind of playing it on, here and there, I've had a little more luck. I do kind of like the gung-ho nature of it. Like, you really kind of have to go for it. I feel like the aggressor a lot of times can have the advantage in this new gulag, but it is kind of a crapshoot. Really limited situation there. It's like left or right. The center's kind of a death wish. But yeah, I'm curious to check this new one out. It seems kind of almost like Showers gulag type of vibes, where it sounds like there's corridors and then the center, although the center's way too wide open here. So I'm sure it'll be one of those situations where the sweats will figure out like, oh, they take 2 steps and then they can murk you within a second. So we'll probably learn some hard lessons.
Oh, of course. No question about it. We're going to learn some hard lessons in there, unfortunately.
Well, those are really the lessons and the hard facts about Season 3, but finally, in addition to all of that, there's going to be a new game mode, not quite new, but new experience that we haven't yet had, and that is that Iron Trials is going to be coming to Caldera during Season 3, which I know we really enjoyed our time. I was able to get in on the Rebirth Iron Trials trios this week. A lot of fun. I think on Caldera, it'll be even better. I mean, I know the TTK's already been slowed base on the BR mode. Now slowed a bit, kind of get a little more apples to apples comparison there. How do you feel about the idea of Iron Trials coming to Caldera?
Iron Trials it's a weird paradox where if you play enough Iron Trials, you start forgetting about, if you play enough Iron Trials, you start forgetting about how fast the TTK is, and then you kind of get accustomed to that. And then when you go into a regular match, you cannot believe how fast you're dying. But when you initially get into Iron Trials and you're not used to how fast you're dying, what I love about that is you actually have the ability, if you're losing a gunfight or getting shot from a place that you're unaware of and you're kind of like, surprised and kind of, you didn't know it was coming. What I like about that is that you actually can get away from it. Like with that higher TTK, you can run, unless you're caught like in the open with your pants down, you can really get away from it, especially on Rebirth. There's places to hide. You get inside of a building, you heal up. So it's this, I love it and I hate it, and it really fucks with my normal gameplay if I'm on Caldera or Rebirth, because The TTKs, you realize how fast they are after you play Iron Trials. Of course, I'm going to play it. Of course, I'm going to hate it at first. I'll probably get accustomed to it. And then, of course, they'll probably take it away from us. And then I'll be trying to figure out what to do next. So it's love-hate. Again, highs and lows as the cowboy usually goes through. So what about you? Are you an Iron Trials guy?
Well, I'll just say I'm an Iron Trials guy. Maybe I don't thrive in that, but I thought it only improved Verdansk when they brought it. I think it's only going to improve Caldera. As you talked about earlier in this episode, they seem to be experimenting. We've talked about that a lot in the previous months. Like, they're experimenting, they're trying new things. So I think having this side-by-side comparison is only going to benefit the future of Warzone. Because I got to imagine right now they're shaping, like, what is the TTK going to be for Warzone 2? And that has got to be fundamental to the entire Warzone experience. So having a little more data side by side, see what people think, see what I think. I think it's only going to help us. So yeah, I'm an Iron Trials guy. I mean, I like variety, baby. As we've said, it's the spice of life.
100% agree with that.
So yes, in addition to all this new stuff, the biggest bombshell of Season 3 that we've been tracking now since it was originally leaked in the community, as we've talked about, we're the fucking 60 minutes, like we're the little bloodhounds sniffing out every little fucking, fragrance of new shit coming to Warzone to bring to the forefront. You're like our loyal leash masters, like go get him, Cowboy and Tron. We fucking run out into the woods of the Warzone community, as it were, and find it. But before we dive into all of that, I think it's time to share a word from our sponsors for the very first time. And that is to say that support for the Warzone Amateur Hour is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with an exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping by using the code WAH, that is W-A-H, at manscaped.com. And if my math's correct, that's about 8 million balls.
Wow. This is such a big moment for us, as everyone that listens to this podcast for the last year and a half. There is a company out there that believes in us, and they are actually sponsoring our podcast. And I just want to thank Manscaped for doing that. First of all, I also want to say they sent us an unbelievable package, no pun intended, of shit that we like. I have this package in front of me. They sent us t-shirt, boxers. They sent us obviously the great manscaping grooming product, as well as these different types of lotions. One is called the Crop Preserver, which is a ball deodorant. The second is a Crop Reviver, which is essentially a ball toner. Didn't know these things existed. So I just wanted to thank them for sending this up. This is blowing my mind. I also just want to say, like, on the ranch, the cowboy wouldn't have ever thought about getting Manscaped. Just for the record, like, this is more for the cowgirl technically. And you know what? They sent me this package. I pour a cocktail. I'm watching the sunset over the prairie. I kick my legs up. I give the package to the old cowgirl. She goes to town. And let me tell you, that 10-inch cowboy turned into a 12-inch cowboy. And I will just leave it at that. This stuff is fantastic. I'm all about it. I'm so happy I have this. This is something that I didn't think about on the ranch for a very long time, but I'm happy I have it in the repertoire. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Quite an endorsement there, though. I would have thought on a ranch you'd enjoy perhaps a sarsaparilla and maybe not a cocktail, but, to each his own. That said, yes, the performance package, which again, you can get 20% off by using the code WAH at manscaped.com. It includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. So yes, if you could give Manscaped Check it out. Use the code. You're going to help us. You're going to help your family jewels be better groomed. And we're excited to watch this partnership continue on here on the Warzone Amateur Hour.
Yeah, and don't forget, WHA. Use the code, people.
WAH.
What did I say?
WHA. You're going to have to
WAH Warzone Amateur Hour. Use the code, people. It's our first read.
It's time now. We've teased it up. We've built it up. And, Call of Duty did themselves. But it was finally time for the big reveal. Time to make it officially official, which I think, in hindsight, the leaks, I think, have been 100% accurate. Because just as part of Season 3, they announced with some badass imagery and a really dope trailer that Operation Monarch is coming May 11th, and that involves none other than fucking King Kong and wait, fuck, I switched
You switched those up there.
Godzilla, yeah, okay, go Cowboy.
Yeah, Tron texted me the original Call of Duty tweet where they announced definitively that this was happening this week. And when I saw it, to be totally honest, I thought it was a fake. I just couldn't comprehend that this was happening. I know we've been talking about it. I know that we see behind the curtain with our little, crystal ball and shit, on this podcast. We got it going on. But this blew my mind. I think I literally texted you, is this for real? And you said yes. And I still was having a hard time for it. I went on Twitter. I looked up all the shit. I still don't understand what monarch means, what monarch is, monarch butterflies. I don't understand. I know there's Mothma, butterfly, but I don't get how the monarch name it is with Godzilla and King Kong. But I mean, mind is blown. What does this mean for the map? How are these gigantic? That was the first thing I noticed. They're not little Krampus style 15-foot figures. These are gigantic monsters they're bringing to the map. What does this mean? How does this impact a battle royale? It's fucking crazy.
I mean, I know you had concerns last week that, they would not do justice to the gargantuan nature of these mythic beasts, but fear not, as you said, clearly on the trailer, they showed Godzilla, they showed King Kong, and they have the scale. They're grabbing planes out of the sky, which again, I know our plane enthusiasts were oh, our plane's coming back. Still hard to say, but they grabbed it like a little child grabs a fucking toy. Discarded it. So I'm curious to see how it'll unfold. But yes, Operation Monarch, May 11th. I got to imagine Monarch's related to this new Cryptozoological
100%
organization storyline.
Well,
but,
okay, the dynamic though, we have to talk about this dynamic because the trailer, King Kong is on peak. King Kong is at the highest point of Caldera. He is owning this island. The first thing I thought is okay, Caldera is King Kong's island. He's fucking grabbing planes out of the sky. He's owning the highest point of the map. Very dominant, masculine energy up there. And all of a sudden, from the oceans, from the depth, you see the spines of Godzilla coming through the water towards Caldera. And there is an impending battle, an undeniable force between two monsters coming together. So my thing was okay, so this is King Kong's island, and Godzilla's coming to fuck shit up. They're obviously gonna fight each other. I mean, if the movies have taught us anything, they are not friends. But what is gonna happen here? How do we have a civilized battle royale when we have two 200-story monsters fighting each other?
It's hard to say how it's going to impact the map, and they haven't really had such an element, to the game. We've never had again, we talked about Krampus, but that was such a minor thing compared to what we're seeing here. Yeah, we're watching the trailer now. As you said, he's on peak, beating his fucking chest, smashing shit, screaming. Him and Godzilla are going toe to toe, smashing each other. Maybe we just gotta stay out of their way, or maybe they target us. I mean, again, I think as we talked about, airplanes could be so well suited for this, make it such an interesting thing if you fly by this fucker and you gotta evade him. But still no word on that. Still no word exactly how this is gonna happen. But we have an official date. We also have some photos of some pretty badass operator skins they're unveiling, where it's like a fucking, you know, a King Kong mask and then a Godzilla mask, and it's glows. It's a reactive camo. I got that up here. I think there's even a third one that's going to be available. There's the blueprints that we talked about, were teased in that trailer last week. So they're really going full bore. We're going to have Godzilla versus King Kong in Warzone.
I wonder, you know what I'm thinking? I think probably, I would imagine that you can obviously interact with them. I wonder if it's like a loot situation. If you can somehow destroy King Kong or kill Godzilla, you know, I would imagine you would get all the loot you ever wanted. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's like the tower they introduced in Verdansk, where it's like a POI. Maybe they have like their own little area where they're at. And if you want to go to peak, you got to deal with King Kong. Maybe he doesn't leave a certain area, but if you kill him and if you can successfully get rid of him, it drops like an abundance of loot for all of your teammates. I imagine that's how it has to be, because these monsters just can't be like in a late game circle. You know, if the late game circle's on peak and King Kong's there, like, I'm not sure how that's going to go down. You know, it's not going to be as straightforward as killing another quad, you know?
I mean, first off, I don't know if we'll have the ability to kill them. Like, maybe we can have them, you know, retreat for a little bit. But that's an interesting idea, that we would be able to directly interact and like keep them at bay. Maybe that'll incentivize like RPGs or something, you know, kind of like the old attack helicopters, except it's a fucking massive mythical beast this time hunting you down. But really eager to see this. You know, the theatrics of it should be fun. It'll give me a reason to drop in Caldera, check out these new POIs. Maybe they're reinforcing peak, as you said, as a part of this to help give people a little more protection, but we'll have to see. So many questions, so much to be unearthed, to be, you know, what the fuck is Monarch? As you said, they kind of didn't tease any of that in the cinematic storyline. So maybe the joy we've had of a clean storyline is going to take a dump and it's just going to get crazy. But if that's what we need to get Godzilla and King Kong on the map, then I'm down. Then fucking throw the cinematic shit away. That's fine. Give on the Cryptozoological organization.
Yeah, and just, I want to point something out, but I don't want it to seem like I'm not all about this. I think if you listen to this podcast, you understand that I'm very enthusiastic about Godzilla and King Kong. But if we take let's take like a 30,000 foot view on the storyline of Warzone, between the zombies, between like the ghost ship, Stitch, Alder is his name, Alden, what's his name?
Adler.
All of this, like, where in the fuck does King Kong and Godzilla, like, this is so far out of left field that it's, I think, actually gonna work. It's so out there that I'm actually all about it. And they've set up literally no rules to the world. You know, the world building in this is so batshit crazy that it might actually just be a cool thing.
I mean, and the locale, like, if it had been Verdansk, that'd be a little crazy. Like, I guess Nakatomi Plaza, okay, maybe that fits. But I think, yeah, the fact that it's this crazy island off the Pacific, and there's, you know, the topography, and then there's the whole ocean aspect for Godzilla to emerge, I think it lends itself to it well. So it's a cool pairing. I'm excited to check it out. But yeah, that's all we got to share about that for now. Any final thoughts before we move on? I
just, man, what a dream. You know, I am so excited for this. This is going to be wild. You know, there's a few moments that have happened, more than a few, a handful, I would say, of moments that have happened in our Warzone career where they make these big changes and it's like, oh shit, we have to drop in. I remember recently when they redid the Rebirth Island map, and we were like, there was a buzz amongst the friends and the listeners where it was like, oh, we have to check this out. This is another one of those moments, and I think I'm just grateful for that. It's going to be fun. This is going to be really fun.
I agree. Like, you know, let's have fun with it. The whole zombie thing they did back several Halloweens ago. You know, Krampus even for a little bit was fun, but I'm with you. Like, give us something new. Let's have fun with it. And we'll see, you know, what they make of this. Maybe it's going to only be more shit to come. Maybe we'll have a Jurassic Park type of thing in the future. So we'll have details as soon as they're, you know, down the pipeline. This is, again, coming in May, so a bit into Season 3, not right off the rip. So that's what's coming. But in terms of what's going on now in the Warzone, there was a notable kind of not quite stealth buff because it was announced, but kind of a reversion of a glitch with a gun that has forced it into the meta. It was a, completely slept on, forgotten, left off any list gun from Modern Warfare, and that is the old Bizon.
Yeah.
Which I think is like the original, bullfrog. And there was a glitch where the Bizon was only dealing 20 to 27 damage to the right side of the body, but then 34 damage to the left. And so it just kind of left the gun shitty. And on Warzone's April 13th patch, which I didn't even, we go through all the patches, I just didn't really catch it. They found that and reverted that so that it's the 34 damage on both sides. So it buffed the shit out of the Bizon. It's now like in the meta. Streamers are running it. I found I have it fully leveled, so I'm fucking running it, and it's pretty dope.
Yeah, the Bizon is probably my favorite named weapon. I think that's such a cool name, the Bizon. And I actually haven't equipped it. I this week was playing with people that were swearing by it, and I think it's something that I need to look into. That may be a Cooper pairing that I play with this week.
I mean, it's got 84 rounds you can put on it, which is pretty remarkable. I've built it purely for ADS. It's a Modern Warfare, so you got to pick 5 attachments, which again, that's the way it should be. But more on that later. And I think I got the tac laser. I got like the regular suppressor and then the stippled grip. And it's great. The hip firing on it is great. It's mobile. It's, very much like Bullfrog type of vibe, but a lot of fun. And I don't even remember, I never equipped it and had it as a gun. So I think my memory doesn't serve me correct, but I feel like it was just a really common ground loot gun. So that was cool to see, like, hey, I got this thing max level already. Let's just try it out. So if you're out there, check your arsenal list. If you're interested in a new SMG or you're seeing those around, that is why. That's what's going on.
Do you see a nerf coming with the Season 3 update?
Maybe. We'll see. That'd be kind of ironic if this poor gun was shit for so long. It finally gets fixed and they're like, yeah, back to the bottom of the pile for you.
Wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
But in addition to that, on April 19th, they issued a patch, and this one I did read the notes, and I was really excited because they claimed that they had deployed a fix for the buy station UI functioning incorrectly, which we have been bashing our heads against the table about, where it clicks up one spot automatically. And unfortunately, it's not fucking fixed. That's the bottom line here.
Straight up.
Yeah. So, Cowboy, did you happily or not happily, rudely find that to be the case?
Yeah, I did. And it was funny because I've gotten so used to it that I didn't even notice that it wasn't fixed. And then you had mentioned that it was fixed, obviously, on the pod, and then we played together, and then you were like, God damn it, it's not fucking working, fuck! And then I obviously was realizing it when I was buying it. It's a total joke, like... how do you announce that it's fixed and then it's not fixed? Like, what happened there? You got time for these gigantic creatures, but you can't fix a simple UI issue? And Mike, is it just a controller thing, or is it also like that on console? Or, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's just controller. On PC, you're purely, keyboard and mouse, you're purely move your mouse where you want freely. It's
Got
not
it.
Like a selection thing.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So, yeah, in addition on that patch, they did make some changes that actually did happen, and that is that they added new public events on Caldera. So now Restock, Cash Drops, Heavy Weapon Drops, and Resurgence are back in the rotation for public events. Kind of as we've said, they've been merging, regular BR and Vanguard, and I know when on the original BR, they got rid of some of these public events. Now they're bringing pretty much all of them back. The first free loadout drop now occurs earlier. They said this change should make for a better parity in the power curve. And the second free loadout still remains in the 5th circle. And then they also have some guaranteed events that are going to happen during infill. There'll either be a weapons crate drop or a plunder crate. And on the 4th circle, there'll either be a restock or a fire sale. And so that was kind of the other changes. No other, no major weapons tuning other than that Bizon. And then these changes so far this week as we're gearing up for Season 3.
Yeah, a lot of changes on the horizon, man. It never ceases to amaze how much we have to talk about on this podcast. There are constant changes happening. It's out of control, but all for the better, it seems. It would just be nice if they fixed that loadout glitch. It really would be nice.
I agree. It's such a, it's a small little nick on an otherwise kind of clean shave, as it were. So
a clean manscape, you could say.
Yes, So we'll see if they're able to perhaps really deploy an issue for that. I don't even know if they've acknowledged that it's clearly not fixed. But finally, we're always covering the pulse, the leakers, what's out there. Well, we got 2 leak drops here, drips coming out of the pipeline here to report on you to satiate those thirsty throats. And that is that an Activision employee tweeted and then later deleted some juicy info, and he claims that Verdansk might return on, quote, certain platforms next year. And he also said Warzone 2 is going to have a new big map. It's not clear what platforms he means for Verdansk or how accurate that info is, but, got to lay it out there for the listeners to chew on.
My first thought is this guy definitely got fired, right? How does that guy leak that kind of information and still have his job? Yeah, that guy's definitely canned. He's welcome to come on the podcast. Just throwing that out there. If you're listening, we'd love to talk about this if you did get fired. Second of all, I love the idea of a brand new gigantic map. Of course, it's always fun. But again, do these things typically yield fruitful information, or is this kind of hearsay at this point?
I mean, this one, I guess if it really is an Activision employee, I've got to imagine it's true. And as we said, we heard about Godzilla and King Kong months ago. That was leaked, not from an employee, but we'll see about this. I mean, I think the real info in this is the Verdansk coming back. I was going to fucking imagine they're going to have a brand new fucking big map for new Warzone. Like, come on. So I don't know if that's really much of a leak, but I know previously they had claimed, for Verdansk to come back, you'd have to re-download. So maybe there's a way to streamline that and only the new platforms can handle it. But either way, I think it'd be really cool to revisit Verdansk. So here's to hoping that one pans out.
Oh my God, the nostalgia! Imagine dropping in with the boys on Verdansk. That would be, it would be magical. And I think that it would be a home run, especially to get back some of the older player base that may have left. I think that's a great idea. I don't know how simple that is. I'm not a developer, but fuck, I'm all about that.
I mean, yeah, dropping into a great, well-designed map like Verdansk with all of these new fixes, these new additions like the redeploy balloons, the slower TTK, the better weapons balancing, the nerf stuns, there's so much to list. I can't even remember it. To have that packaged, repackaged with Verdansk, I think would be really cool. Or to have the ability to choose multiple maps. If they're able to figure out a way to make that happen, I think that's going to be a huge game changer for the lifeblood of Warzone.
100%. I completely agree.
But speaking of nostalgia, which, for someone like the Cowboy who never really dabbled in the old and modern warfare times might not mean much. For the folks that have been around since the beginning, really got busy on the standalone games, particularly, Modern Warfare 2, and I think Advanced Warfare and Modern Warfare 3. So there were 2 guns that were just head and shoulders above essentially everything else that was out there. Like, why? It's kind of like when the FFAR or, the what was that stupid single fire gun on Black Ops?
DMR?
That was broken. The DMR. This is kind of like that level, but everyone kind of had access to it. Unlocking guns then was a lot easier. And the first one, the AR, was called the ACR. It was a fan favorite. It was not included in Modern Warfare 2019. They left it off the docket. People have claimed the Kilo is kind of the same gun, but other people are like, no, it's not. I'm not, again, don't know that world. But anyway, so that was one of them. And the other one was a sniper that was called the Intervention. And it would just blast people, quick scope, destroy motherfuckers. Well, there's a Call of Duty leaker called the Ghost of Hope. And he claims that both the ACR and the Intervention are coming with Modern Warfare 2, which is coming later this year. In addition, which I literally stood up, cheered, screamed, woke up my whole house, pissed off my, lady Tron. And that is that the 5 attachments they claim is making a return with the new Modern Warfare.
Praise be. Finally. I bet you're just so stoked on that.
I am fucking floored.
All right. Well, good. That's good news. I mean, what is this guy's name? Ghost of Hope? That's fucking... I don't know if that's dark or bright. It sounds disturbing to me.
I mean, not a former employee, so not putting his employment on the line. I believe, though, he's a pretty reputable leaker. I know this was tweeted out by Modern Warzone, who's a very reputable Warzone account and streamer himself. So I got to imagine, though, like, or I certainly hope so, when they bring these weapons back, there's no way they're going to be like they were, like totally overpowered. It's got to be more for nostalgia. They'll get them in line, get them balanced. But so that's the news, man. That's what could be coming here. And we got to be getting news about the new Modern Warfare soon, because I saw just actually yesterday, like the social media accounts for, I think it was Infinity Ward, went dark. Like they took away all their posts. They blackened their things. So like maybe they're readying all this new marketing material. So we could be getting some big reveals here with King Kong and Godzilla, and also the new Modern Warfare.
Wow, it sounds like I should listen to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast to stay up to date with all these new changes coming.
That's right, and you should also go order Manscaped package and use the code WA. But that is going to do it for us this week. As I said at the beginning, jam-packed, one of our longest ever episodes. The enthusiasm, the love, the joy is riding high. If you're like, you know, a 36-year-old, 7-year-old dad, you want to play with us, we'll do our best. I know he's been trying to play with us for a while. We're only 2 men here. We can only get in so much, but we love y'all. We appreciate the support. If you're able to, you know, use that promo code, you'll be helping us out. If not, we love you just the same. We do have a correction from last week. I had said I was the Shawshank warden, totally fucking owning the prison cell block, but actually what I meant is not the warden, that old little nerdy guy who blows his brains out at the end. I was more like seeing myself as the captain prison guard. His name's Byron Hadley in the movie, and he's played by the wonderful actor Clancy Brown. So that's who I was. I fucking own the cell block.
You just had to sneak that correction in here. My God, I totally forgot about that.
As I said, baby, from the very beginning of this podcast, you know, ever we did, is we're all about integrity, keeping tabs on ourselves. So shouts to Chine for pointing that out. Shouts to all ya. That is going to do it, though, for us. As I said, thank you for dropping in. Like, subscribe, follow. We crossed 400 YouTube subscribers this week, which was incredibly exciting. So grateful for that. Here's the 500. Here's the Season 3. Here's the King Kong, Godzilla, and fucking Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. And all that.
And your well-groomed balls.
And your well-groomed balls. So we will talk to you next week. And until then,
good luck in the gulag.